All right, Harry, everybody knows the story of creation, right? But in the creation story in Genesis chapter 1, we see that day 1, God said, let there be light. But in day 4, he created the sun, the moon, and the stars. So we're going to read today and try to figure out or ask you what your interpretation is of this. Verse 3, and God said, let there be light, and there was light. God saw that the light was good, and he separated the light from the darkness. God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And there was evening, and there was morning, the first day. And what is this light in this scenario here?
Yeah, the light is just the glory of God, and it's God created light, just like He made the trees and the fish and us. He made light, and He made that light on the first day, so there could be a day, and so that our eyes can see and visualize. Also, the very same thing shows up in the 21st chapter of Revelation, which is the second last chapter, verse 23. I'll read that. The city does not need the sun and the moon to shine on it, for the glory of God gives it light, and the Lamb, which is Jesus, is its lamp. Now, this is the New Jerusalem. It talks about the New Jerusalem coming down, and how that it says does not need the sun and the moon anymore, because the glory of God is the lamp that we need for seeing. And that's how we started the New Testament. And in the Old Testament, the first chapter, and that's the second last chapter of Revelation. We end with that. But the light is is the light from God's glory. Period.
Okay, thank you. Verse 14, we're going to read the other opposite side here. And God said, let there be lights in the vault of the sky to separate the day from the night, and let them serve as seasons, days, and years, and let them be lights in the vault of the sky to give light on the earth. And it was so. So what does this resemble here about the seasons going on? Why would the sun, the light in the sky, help us to figure out what seasons are?
Yeah, and it actually, so really in my mind, it's the automation. So this is day 4. So God now sets his system starting to work, and now he puts the sun and the moon and stars there. But the relationship between the sun and the earth, like we have seasons, the light of God would not give light, it gives us light, but doesn't give us heat. So the sun gives us heat and gives us seasons. As the earth tips up or tips down first, that's in the summertime for North America, we get where we live, we have a 15-hour day and a 9-hour night. In the wintertime, we have the reverse. So we have 6 hours more daylight than than darkness. And the sun automatically, the sun gives us that, but the earth tips, and then it tips up the other way. So with the relationship between the sun and the earth, we get the right temperature. Our temperature is perfect. If we were 10% closer or farther from the sun, our temperature would not work. But because the temperatures are right, we have the right tip. Because it tips down, we can have a summer where we can grow our crops, so we can feed our livestock and everything like that, get through the winter, and so on. So it's an automation system for the proper heat and the proper light for the seasons, to mark the days, and the seasons and the years are all marked by this connection, that relationship between the earth and the sun. So to me, it's an automated system that God sets up. At first, he just gives light. Now he gives an automated heating, cooling, and light for the earth. So it's not something spiritual. It's just something that God gave us so that we can have the system that has worked really well ever since, regardless of global warming or cooling or whatever we have today. But the system's been in place, worked really well for many eons.
All right. And then verse 16, God made two great lights, the greater light to govern the day and the lesser light to govern the night. He also made the stars, for God set them in the vault of the sky to give light on the earth, to govern the day and night, and to separate light from darkness. And God saw that it was good. And there was evening, and there was morning, the fourth day. Do you have any final comments on this last day, or not the last day of his creation, but this last day that we're talking about that he just created here?
Yeah, no, it's again, like, it's not a spiritual thought, but it's a beautiful thought. If we think of all how marvelous the system works, that the earth tips and it turns as it rotates. We have day and night. As we have the tipping down, we have a warm season, then we have a cold season, so that we can grow enough crops in the warm season to feed us through the winter. It makes us industrious to do all those things. In South America, they have the same thing, only the reverse time. The whole system is just a beautiful, beautiful creation, and of course, it's part of what we need to have animals, to have plants, to have all that stuff. If we didn't have all that, we wouldn't be able to do that. But God can give us light by itself. That's no problem. That's what He did, and that's what He will do in eternity after the New Jerusalem. But this is to automate the earth, and I really like the story. Somehow I think it's fabulous. Read it and think about it.
Awesome. Thanks, Harry.